talking. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. I'm super excited that you're popping on today during your weekend. So thanks for that. And I'm excited to have Mike McNutt with me today. So he says he sees us, so that's good. And there we are. Yay. All right. So I'm super excited. As you guys can probably tell, I totally bond with my clients. We have fun together, but we take action and make a lot of things happen. And so Mike McNutt and I have known each other for years at this point, and I've had the privilege of working with him on a few different projects that he's going to talk about. But I wanted to invite him on today because you've been hearing from me. I've been sharing strategies with you all week, and I wanted you to hear from someone who has utilize strategies. You can learn from him what worked great for him and his organization, what transformations did they experience. And so hop in with any questions. One is always say hi. We want to know that you're here. I don't want to just see an eyeball in the corner. Let me know where you're watching from. And then if you have any questions for Mike, I'm going to be monitoring those, and he is happy to answer any questions. So with that, Mike, you want to just start by telling them a little bit about the company?
Sure. Hi, everybody. So as Kristen said, I'm Mike.
Kirsten. Oh my goodness, Mike.
I blow that all the time.
You're supposed to be one take Mike. No.
I was introduced to Kirsten around 2012. So
has it been that long?
It has been, yes.
Wow.
So our company, I was with a company, we were a truck dealer. We were actually three companies. We were a truck dealer, we were an independent repair facility, primarily truck and mobile homes and some trailers, and we were also a Ford truck dealer in Lansing. And I joined the company in early 2011, and quickly found out that we had a lot of issues. We were somewhat or extremely broken. There was a lack of trust. There was just a lot of dysfunction. And the owner and at the time, his wife, who were actively involved, just felt that we just needed to focus on numbers and push harder and harder the employees, and literally terminate those that didn't understand that what our mission was. So the company, just give you a sense, we were at the time I started 6 locations. We were right around 120 employees. It was a husband and wife ownership team. And like I said, the
third generation,
was,
right? Mike, wasn't it third generation? Family business, third generation?
Second generation.
Second generation.
Yep. And I actually, one of my uniques is I came to it as I was third generation and had experience. I worked with my father for 18 years, who worked with his father, starting a distribution company. We sold heavy construction equipment. So I knew I really enjoyed the industry, and felt like I could bring something to the company, understanding, the owner operator type mentality. So that's how we that's a little bit about the company, and feel free, I'd be more than happy to talk about that. But what I found was, and was really introduced to Kirsten, I participated in an executive group, and someone said, what you really need is some outside input, because I was struggling with gaining traction with the owners in trying to explain to them and gain their confidence in how broken we really were. They just felt, no disrespect, that if we beat on employees longer, and if the owners worked harder and spent more hours, that we just turned things around. And frankly, it took a while. They thought we were in good financial shape. They thought we had great employee morale, and the reality was we didn't. So once I met Kirsten, and we met at a coffee shop in Ferndale the first time, and I was just like, I don't know what to do. I'm stumped. I've never been in a situation that was so difficult. So thankfully, the owners, the husband and wife, agreed to let Kirsten come in, and really our first step was this assessment really taking a very confidential group assessment of all of the vast majority of our employees. We hit the vast majority of our locations. And then she put together a report that was, quite frankly, very damning. And at the end of it, it essentially said one of the owners needed to step out of the business, that there was a lack of trust, there was a lack of confidence. And then that launched us on our way to what do we do from that. So it was very painful that ultimately the owner's wife stepped out. And that took about a 6-month transition period. And then during that period of time, one of the things, and I think Kirsten, you even may have suggested it, that we consider and looking into, or I had some brushes with this business process called the entrepreneurial operating system. That's a group. Gino Wickman wrote this book, Traction.
And I'm going to jump in, Mike. Yes, that was actually in my report. And so I'll just say quickly for people who don't know what that is, it's kind of strategic planning. And because they didn't have a clear direction, I've met Gino Wickman about 15 years ago. I've had the privilege of working with many of his clients, and now there are a lot of different implementers. And so it is something that I recommend often as a really nice complementary service to what I do, because I'm not strategic planning, but I am helping the leaders kind of cascade all of that through the organization. So sorry about that, Mike. I just thought, in case people don't know about that. But yeah.
So we we were at the time we implemented or started the implementing EOS, and as we did that, we kept Kirsten really kind of attached to my hip as I shared with her where we really identified employees that we thought were strong employees but needed some coaching, and frankly I just didn't have time with all of our brokenness to be able to hit all of the employees and talk to them and coach those. So those that we identified that had high potential and we really thought long term would be great employees, we had Kirsten work with them. And it started out in many cases weekly, I believe, and then we went to bi-weekly, and then we went to monthly. And as we were evolving into this whole EOS process, Kirsten was very much helpful in helping, frankly, steer me on, because we had so many things to do, and I wanted to get so many things done on really helping prioritize. So we moved to weekly meetings that would often identify an employee that needed some coaching. And then I would call Kirsten and say, hey, this employee is really struggling. Can you help? And I know you asked me to kind of jump to the end of what some of your uniques are, but I think one of your strengths were that because the original assessment you performed, Kirsten, was confidential, and the employees clearly understood that what they shared with you was not shared with me, but that it was a bigger picture. There was a lot of confidence in working with you that was extremely helpful. And then Kirsten would come to our office once every 2 weeks, it seemed like, to meet individually with the individuals and really give them good coaching strategies. And some of them were really simple, and some of the things, frankly, were the same things I was saying, but you articulated in a much more loving, better way that was effective. And so as we went down this path, we implemented a significant amount of change in our company. We sold the independent repair facility. The owner finally came to grips with that we were an absolutely horrible Ford dealer. We sold that to the Fontaine Group, or La Fontaine Group. And we really focused on what we really felt was the most important thing, to be the best truck dealer. We were a Kenworth truck dealer that we could be. And so we went from really 6 locations down to 4 and got down to about 75, 80 employees, but started our journey. And our journey was painful. It took time. It took frankly, it took me about a year to gain confidence with the employees that frankly, they could trust me, because the owners there was just not trust there. And so
Hey,
as we,
Mike, can I jump into,
yeah,
so what was, maybe talk to how helpful it was. I mean, if we want to get on the little science, like that lizard brain, and kind of when we get fearful about change, like the discomfort of change, and maybe talk a little. I've shared a little bit this week with people about how I do laugh with clients. I know you and I always laughed a lot. People are funny, right? But maybe share a little bit about that balance of also though pushing forward, and just what it was like locking arms with me or someone who would kind of keep you moving in the right direction, even through the discomforts of change, and also like kind of strategy along the way to help tweak.
sure, I got to think about that a little bit. But as we were moving, what we did is we would share and talk about really our strategies for the quarter. So EOS, really forces you to look at your company, develop a 5-year plan, a 3-year plan. What's it going to look like? Then boil that down to a 1 year, and then you break it into quarter. And so once we got to the quarterly, I was able to share and talk through that, and then the very specific things we needed to do. But as Kirsten would meet then with the employees and talk, and there was really only a select group that you were meeting with at a point in time.
Mm-hmm.
As you were understanding what we were trying to get accomplished, we would then, once you would meet with the employee, frankly, Kirsten was giving me some good strategies on how to work with them. I am not a great one at holding people accountable. So
You're better now.
she was pushing me to do that, and at the same time try to build this culture that the employees truly trusted that we weren't going to change midstream again, that we were going to continue living on the path that we had set forth, was really the focus on our 3-year plan. So I think, as Kirsten, one of your incredible strengths is gaining the trust and confidence with employees, and they shared an awful lot with you, not just about work, but about personal things. And that gave us, and that really helped us when the employees would share with other employees, that management is vested in their success, and we cared about them, and that Kirsten also cared and would help. And frankly, it happened almost over. Well, it was about at the end of maybe 2.5 years. All of a sudden, we had this culture that was just thriving. We were moving forward. We were not focused on numbers. We were focused on really the people aspect of the business, doing the right things for our customers, and just empowering individuals that frankly had never been empowered before. So there was a lot of change, or a lot of struggles employees had with, well, what happens if I make a decision and it's wrong? Am I going to get fired? And I think certainly, Kirsten, you were extremely helpful, that would say, no, Mike will not fire you. Mike is empowering you. And then you were giving employees some strategies on, this is what I would suggest. And, here, take 1 or 2 of your ideas to Mike with solutions, and then you guys strategize and work together. And as we did that over time, it just frankly just worked, and it was great. It truly, we went from so at the time I started in 2011, there were 86 Kenworth independent truck dealers across the country, or in North America. That included Canada. Towards the end, we got down to 54. And of that 86, when we started, we were dealer number 80 in terms of performance, being worst. We moved up to, in the last year of our existence, really, I can share a little bit about that, but the last year we were recognized as the highest performing dealer of
Yay.
all, and won the state
Yay.
award and all that. And that
Oh my
wasn't on
gosh, I
me.
love that.
That wasn't on
Yeah.
me. That was on the team effort, and certainly what
Absolutely.
you
And
helped.
that's that shift in culture and empowering people. And I remember the old model. One, there was a lot of fear when I first started working with you guys. Absolutely. And I talked about culture this week. It was definitely a fear focused culture. And everyone had these great intentions. You guys had like great employees, but there was just all this fear. And then getting them shifted to focus on goals and then empowering them with better systems and also that safety net of knowing I'm not going to get fired if something goes wrong, or no, I'm not going to get yelled at if something goes wrong. That I talked about that this week too, the importance of autonomy and how you ignite that discretionary effort is the safety net of helping them realize that it's okay if there are missteps, there's opportunity to look at how could that have gone better, but like thank you for taking that action and focusing on the customer and the outcomes. And so I didn't even realize that you guys hit number one.
We did.
Yay.
It was a big platinum Eagle Award. So yeah, and
Wow.
in that light, so I just share how fragile sometimes when we have success, and our success was we didn't stand long to celebrate it, other than celebrated it with the employees,
Yeah.
because it wasn't about us. I mean, our we had our core values. We hired around them. We evaluated around them. If we needed to move someone either on the bus into a different seat, or move them off
Mm-hmm.
the bus. It was all about our core values, and
Yep.
doing the right thing, and empowering employees.
Yep.
And so we had such great success that there was another Kenworth truck dealer that desired to acquire us, frankly, because we were such a disruptor in Michigan, and they were a dealer on the other side of the state, that they acquired us in February of what would have been 2 years.
2019, right?
Yeah,
Last
2019.
year. Yeah.
Nope, 2018.
Oh, was it that
And,
long ago? Oh,
yeah,
wow.
and
Okay.
and so quickly. So we were acquired by a company that was very boastful that they were the largest Kenworth dealer in the country. They bought more parts from the manufacturer than any other dealer worldwide. We were over 1,000 employees. Everybody should want to work for us. And quickly, our culture was squashed.
Yeah.
Individuals did not feel empowered to make decisions. And in fact, when they did make decisions, they were told that you no longer function in the company of old. You need to, fill out this form, send it up to corporate, wait for a month with no action. And what we disappointingly saw was how quickly that culture was just unfortunately destroyed. And
Yeah.
I left the company here just about 2 months ago, and frankly started looking about 6 months after the acquisition. It was a
Mm-hmm.
struggle for me being a leader of this group that was
Yeah.
just awesome, and watching everybody struggle, and at the same time not being empowered to do anything about it.
Yeah.
So it's something
Yep.
that you always have to have your pulse on how we're doing.
Yep.
And that was something that I didn't mention. Kirsten, you came back in about 3, maybe 4 years into our journey, and you did another assessment. Because
Yeah.
I asked you, I said, how are we doing? Right? We thought we were pretty good. We were maybe even getting a little boastful, and asked you to help us identify what we should be doing better. And you did, right? We
Yep.
weren't always rewarding individuals the way that we probably should have acknowledged we needed to.
Yep.
And
But the good news was in that second assessment was like the leaps and bounds better. People were talking about and worrying about and concerned about completely different things that to me were along that spectrum of you guys had done such great work. But, I think just, what I'm hearing in this story is just, that shift in culture going from almost the bottom of the heap in customer service. I always tell people when you focus on culture and making it a better work environment, it is, yes, there's a happy secondary impact, which is you enjoy your work more, but it absolutely impacts the business. And so the people who would say like all that people stuff is mamby-pamby, I mean, your story 100% illustrates you went from bottom of the heap to top of the heap, being award winning simply by shifting a culture, empowering people that already had these awesome ideas and wanted to do a good job, but it was just giving them the voice and the opportunity to speak up and participate and let their ideas be heard because they had unique perspectives that you guys couldn't have. And and also igniting that discretionary effort by giving them a safety net. You don't have to be fearful, all is well. And I just love that. I've literally over this last week been sharing mini, like kind of bite-sized pieces of a lot of what you guys went through and a lot of what a lot of my clients go through. And they've been taking action already. And so I think they're going to see some of the things that you experienced over our time together. So I just love that impact.
Yeah, no, it was fun, right? I mean, it was amazing, and watching people enjoy coming to work, talk
Mm-hmm.
about that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give a great story. So our manufacturer suggested, or really they tied our discounting around. We needed to be open 80 hours a week and also 16 hours on a weekend. And I struggled with that, trying to have a work-life balance for the employees and also deliver good service to our employees or to our customers. So a lot of management strategies, and we spent a lot of time as a management executive team. Our team ultimately, we did have 4 on the team. We actually went down to 3 because there was one individual that was more central focused and ego focused than really on the making decisions for the best of the team. But we spent a lot of time trying to figure out how we were going to open up some locations that, frankly, the staffing, we just didn't have the staffing to figure out how to do it. Mm-hmm. And what we ultimately did is we started sharing with the individuals. First step was, my feeling was not say we're gonna do it, but let everybody know it's coming, and that we are talking about it, and that we would welcome any suggestions. And within about 6 months, every location separately came up with their own solution on how to be open 80 hours. Mm-hmm. And ultimately the manufacturer rolled it back to 8 hours on weekends. Mm-hmm. And it was fascinating and fun to watch the groups say, hey, we don't want to be open till midnight, but we want to open at 5 in the morning. Yeah. And this is how we're going to do it. And we think this is best for the employee or the customers. And it was like, management didn't do any of it. We just empowered them. And then we went with it. And
you had that buy-in from the employees then, because they were living with then the consequence of the decisions, and their focus was correct. It was on the customers, not on themselves.
Right.
And saying, here's the endpoint you need to get to, but you guys figure out how you get there.
Yep.
Love it.
I'm about ready to roll that out in the new company I'm with, that we're looking to expand hours, and it's going to be up to the employees, and encourage them to come up with a solution.
Awesome. So I'm going to say again, if anyone has any questions, pop them in the comments now. Mike's open book, and we'll give you another quick minute here to do that if anyone has questions. But Mike, I just thank you so much for hopping on I know you love the snow, so you're enjoying the snow, but on a Saturday when you could have been just hanging out. I really appreciate you hopping on.
Yeah, sure. I love sharing the story. I spent a number of years reading all the different business books, from Good to Great to, a bunch of the Patrick Lencioni books. I'm a big fan of his. But I could never figure out how to do what all these companies did without feeling extremely overwhelmed. And that's where EOS really helped us, really put in action what all those books, talked about: getting the flywheel going, or the right person on the right seat, but ultimately how to do that and get it. And, we were just so blessed. I mean, it just kind of took on a life of its own and we just kind of lived it and lived through it, and
step at a time.
And it was easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. All
Yeah.
right. Well, if I don't see anyone popping on with any questions, so I will release you, Mike, to enjoy the rest of your Saturday. But thanks so much for hopping on with me. I really appreciate it. And as always, I've just loved all the work that we've gotten to do together over the course of, I didn't realize it was that many years. But so as you guys see, when I work with people, we connect, we stay we stay attached because I want to know, I want to continue to celebrate successes and hear what's going on. So yes, I've enjoyed continuing to stay in touch with Mike and his continued success. So thanks so much for joining me, and everyone have a great rest of your Saturday. And I will see everyone 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. I'm going to be hopping on for questions. If you have any, go ahead and put them in the comments somewhere, or just send me a private message through Facebook, and I'm going to be answering your questions tomorrow night. All right, take care. Make it a great day.
Have a good weekend.